All right, let's talk about care instructions for the Phalaenopsis orchid, also known as moth orchid, whatever you want to call it, a grocery store orchid. You find them oftentimes at your local grocery store. They're the most common orchid, but oftentimes people have trouble with them. So let's debunk some of the myths. Let's figure out how to properly take care of these, starting with light. Light is going to be the most important factor to proper orchid care. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you're giving it very bright light. If you're not sure what I'm talking about when I'm talking about bright light, make sure to watch my lighting video that I have here on my channel, and that will kind of give you a better idea of what I mean by bright light. Because one of the biggest problems is that people put these in very low light, and they can't live there long term. Next, let's talk about watering. Okay, so watering can be a little bit tricky. Do not use ice cubes, okay? I know many places say to use ice cubes, but if you think about it, in nature, they don't rain ice cubes. They don't get watered ever by ice cubes. They don't get watered by that temperature of water, ever. So ice cubes is not gonna do the trick. Here's what we're gonna do, okay? So they come in these clear plastic pots, right? And usually you slip it into a decorative pot, like so. So here's what you wanna do. Take it out of the decorative pot and look at the roots. Here are all the roots right here. And you can see how they're a very silvery sort of sheen there. They're not very lime green. So this is what you're looking for. This is how to know when to water. Twist the pot around, look at all of the roots. When all of the roots look like this, when they're all very silvery, like so, this is a great time to water this plant. And what you want to do is you only want to water the roots. You don't want to water the leaves at all. And in fact, if you get water in the crown of the plant right down here, you want to make sure to dry it out, shake it upside down, or maybe use like a cotton swab and dry out the water right there. Because it will rot the crown of the plant and it can kill it. So only water the roots of the plant when you do water it. When you do water the roots, they will turn a much brighter green, kind of like the shade of the leaves. And so that's when you know that you have watered the plant properly. And then don't water it again until those roots have turned silver once again. When they are blooming like this, we don't need to fertilize them at all. But when they are not blooming, you want to fertilize them as directed on packages. There are special fertilizers for orchids. They like a certain mixture of ingredients. So make sure that you're getting a fertilizer that is specific to the Phalaenopsis orchid, okay? So once these blooms die off, I have a lot of questions in my inbox about these characters. So once all of these blooms die off and the plant is no longer pretty in this way, what you can do is follow the spike. This is the bloom spike right here, the stalk that the flowers are on, and you follow it all the way down to the base, and you can snip it off. Just give it a good cut, and then you can start to fertilize. And then with proper care, they should rebloom. When the blooms die off, the plant is not dead by any means. You're gonna have usually 2 to 6 months of the plant blooming, and then it's going to rest for a while and kind of store up energy so that it can push out those blooms again. That's when it's really important to give it the proper light, the proper nutrients, and the proper watering. So if you want to repot these guys, they don't need to be repotted. They don't, for a larger pot, they don't need to be repotted. They don't naturally grow in soil or anything like that. They actually grow on the sides of trees, kind of like this. They're epiphytes. So their roots down here, they grab onto trees, and that's how they naturally grow. So they don't need to be growing in a pot like this. But every couple of years, it's a good idea to refresh the medium, because the material can break down. This moss that's in here right now, if we're using, sometimes people use orchid bark. If you're using that kind of stuff, it can decompose over time, and it starts to release things into the roots that can kill the plant. So it's a good idea to refresh that medium every couple of years. You can go up one size if you would like to. When you take it out of the pot, just cut off any of the dead roots, that are mushy or that are very papery thin. If they're not firm to the touch, then it's a good idea just to snip them off with a good clean pair of scissors. If you want to use orchid bark, you can find it at your local big box store or online. It's just regular old orchid bark. It's nothing special. Or you can use long fiber sphagnum moss, also available at your big box stores or online. Super affordable, super cheap, but that's how you're gonna take care of the orchid. If you have any questions about these characters, let me know in the comment section below. Or of course, you can always message me on Tanner the Planner, found on Instagram or on Facebook.